What is going on, everyone? The Carmelo Anthony situation has taken over the internet, and for good reason. This is one of those topics that has people genuinely divided, with strong opinions coming from every direction. We are going to cover it from multiple angles, breaking down Akademiks' perspective, hearing what Corey Holcomb has to say, getting into Charleston White's take as he claims he already has an appeal strategy mapped out, and then we will get to someone who may look like they are part of the conversation.
This brother gets that appealed. And the reason I say that is because all the information I have been given, those guys that he got up with were bad guys.
Thanks.
That's all the information I've been given. Like, those were bad guys. And I'm saying, like, these bad guys, you can't make it where the bad guys get to keep being bad and people who got the heart to pull it, get stuff like that done to them, man. I don't know what happened, but I know that a lot of the information leads to those two or that one or whatever. They were bad guys.
Yeah.
Does this kid have a criminal history of being a bad guy? I don't think so. I didn't hear nothing about that. So I think some bad guys got what they urged on their way. That's what I think from what I was told about it all. And now we got to worry about trying to appeal this thing for our young brother. That's what I heard.
And then nobody testified. I mean, I think, I don't know, a lot of people don't think, I think he should have testified. The only person that spoke really on his behalf, good, was his mom. All the other were students.
They didn't let him testify?
No.
I wonder why.
I don't know, legal teams, I don't know.
Man,
Well, your legal
sometimes don't be having the best strategy.
Well, not even the best strategy, the best intentions by you.
That's a fact too.
Because if you're not rich, you're a lawyer.
They ain't working hard.
They're gonna offer him money a lot of times. I'm just saying, like, I know the game. Lawyer business is very crooked business. Lawyer business is very crooked business. And I wasn't there. I don't know what happened, but I was told those guys who got the business were not good people. That's the information.
They said they had a history of violence, beat up their dad, and all types of stuff like that.
Now, as you just heard from Corey Holcomb, this whole situation has turned into a game of telephone at this point. Everyone seems to be working from a slightly different version of the facts. Corey's angle was that the people who were harmed deserved what happened, and honestly, that is a pretty heavy position to take. My own thinking goes in a different direction. How threatened must this young man have felt to be carrying a weapon on him in the first place? And with the benefit of hindsight, it is hard not to wonder, if he had not been armed that night, would this have ended the way it did? But I cannot speak to what was going through his mind. I was not there. Did he genuinely feel his life was in danger? Was that kind of tension a regular part of his environment? What we do know is this. He was invited into the tent. Then, at some point, the energy shifted and they wanted him gone. When the others arrived, he refused to leave, even after being asked multiple times. And then, allegedly, the words spoken were something to the effect of, "See what happens if you touch me," and we all know how that ended. I do not think anyone deserved that outcome. It simply does not fit the circumstances in a way that justifies it. And based on the verdict, it sounds like the jury arrived at a similar...
Anthony provoked the confrontation, and the witness said yes.
Interesting. Now, we remember, he's trying to go for self-defense. We have seen, obviously, different state. This is Texas. The other state would be Tennessee when it comes to shut the builder. But one thing is known all across the board is that it's hard to claim self-defense if you're seen as being the person who provoked the incident. And when you have witnesses who are saying, well, I think Karmelo, maybe through words like saying, yo, touch me. No, what's up? What we about to do? He wasn't just someone being attacked. Now, granted, there's clear racial lines here, so it's very dicey, but it appears that's what's coming into play.
I know it's not unusual for defendants not to take the stand. Did that surprise you at all?
He should have took a stand. You got to take a stand. I'm going to be honest with you. I think if you do something of that sort and you are going to admit it anyway, you need to let people know what you're thinking. You need to be like, hey, listen, I was scared. Also, here's the thing. You're a black teen. You got to get up there and say it. You know why? Because the image that the jury and the general public is seeing all day is white kid. They use a slightly younger picture of him sometimes. And you look like a monster. It just how generally how they make black people and white people look, right? Oh, that's the monster who did something, right? So you need to go up there and let people know your side in a way that could humanize you. That maybe they could see that, hey, listen, you're not just some, and you're someone who got in that position, clearly not something you wanted to do. And obviously you're remorseful that it happened. You're remorseful that you were even in that situation, but you didn't want to kill him. You weren't trying to kill this guy. And if anything, you were trying to defend yourself. And taking a stand would go a long way to doing that. Now, I'm not too sure why he didn't take the stand. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other things to think about because, again, once you expose your client to taking a stand, it doesn't just stop with.
And, of course, the question that keeps coming up is why the young man never took the stand. Now, that is actually not unusual. Many defendants choose not to testify, and there are legitimate legal reasons behind that decision. But here is the thing. If he had no prior record, no history of violent behavior or anything along those lines, it might have been worth considering, especially given the makeup of the jury. Taking the stand could have at least given him a shot at presenting himself as a person, at showing this was completely out of character and not something that reflected who he is. It is also worth noting that a manslaughter charge was seemingly never seriously pursued, which raises its own set of questions. But then again, I am not a lawyer, and I was not in that courtroom. The whole thing is just sad when you sit with it. It does make you think. But here is the reality. If he had walked out of that courtroom not guilty, none of these conversations would be happening. So a lot of what we're doing right now is armchair quarterbacking after the fact, and we should at least be honest about that. Now, let's shift to this individual who was out there actively stirring things up for no good reason. And this right here is a big part of why the FBA community has been throwing around the term tethers and why there is...
Africa, I'm blacker than all of you. By far, actually. So you're African? Yeah. From the motherland, born in Africa. What part? Hold on. What part? All right, I'm going to tell y'all something real quick. Black people are not exclusively from America. They're from all over the world. All over the world. They're from Africa, Australia, Great Britain, not just from America. Oh, that's a death threat. That's a death threat, right? Get on video. That's a death threat.
What did he say?
He said I'm going to do this to you. What does that mean? Huh?
And that is exactly the kind of thing that widens the divide even further. There is already more than enough friction to go around, with anti-woke voices going at it hard across Twitter, YouTube, and every other platform, seemingly without any filter or restraint. Then you have figures like Candace Owens, Officer Tatum, Sneeko, and Myron Gaines, whose positions often come across as something closer to self-rejection than genuine political belief. And then you throw someone like this into the mix on top of all that. It just raises the question, what exactly is the goal here? Now, Charleston White popped up online, and whether you take what he says at face value or not is entirely up to you. But he is speaking as if he saw this verdict coming from a mile away, and he is claiming he already has a strategy in place for the appeal process. And look, actions speak louder than words. I genuinely hope he has something real up his sleeve. I hope this young man gets a fairer outcome on appeal than what just came down. But here's the honest reality. If the defense already put their best case forward and this is the result they got, the appeal is going to need something substantially new to shift the outcome. New evidence, a witness coming forward with information that was never disclosed, perhaps a conflict of interest between the judge and the family involved, some kind of procedural or legal angle that was not fully explored the first time around. Someone is going to be spending serious time in the law library, that much is certain.